we recently learned that Loki was not just inspired by some of the other things that were in development for the MCU, it was actually directly inspired by the first Guardians of the Galaxy and how James Gunn approached that project. So Loki's director Kate Herron recently talked about Guardians of the Galaxy with Bustler, and she revealed that when it came to ideas, concepts, and coming up with what they could do with Loki, that Guardians of the Galaxy was a direct inspiration because of the way that James Gunn handled it. She then went on to specifically cite the way that the Guardians of the Galaxy universe, that entire corner of the MCU that we've never seen anything that wild up until that point, those characters and ideas and interactions were all an inspiration, and that she would constantly go back to that film and look at it and study it because it within itself managed to introduce us to so many new concepts and do it in such a way that everybody automatically understood how it could connect to everything and how it fit into the bigger MCU. Now, I always talk about revisionist history, and that's factual here as well. People always say, well, of course Guardians was going to be big. I mean, it had a talking tree and a rocket raccoon, and who's a rocket raccoon, and it had Dave Bautista. Of course it was going to be big. But they forget all the hit pieces saying this will be a failure because it has a talking tree and a raccoon that's called Rocket. That's stupid. And so many other things. So revisionist history tells you the other side of it, where apparently everybody always loved it, but in reality people were saying this will be the end of it because it's so strange and unique. And she says that when she approached Loki, it was the stylistic aspect of going after these bold choices, the bold references, the heart, the family, the adventure. It was all directly inspired by Guardians 1, because if they were allowed to do so many crazy things, go in so many different directions, introduce so many wild and unique things, then Loki can do the same exact thing, considering that he's dealing with the TVA and what they're doing with time travel and the concept of the multiverse that's being introduced. So you're allowed to span out in different directions and tell your own story because it's nothing new to the MCU. And again, I 100% agree with this. Like, you look at it, you fast forward from 2014 to where we are now, Guardians 1 seems like it's normal. It's like, oh yeah, that film was so safe, look at what they've done, because it's that film that led to Quantumania coming out, and Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, and Guardians 2, and all the insanity you see in Infinity War and Endgame. Had Guardians failed, those films would not exist the way they exist now, because Guardians would not have gotten a sequel that leads up into more established things like Thanos and the Dark Order. So yeah, you can pretty much thank Guardians 1 for a lot of the MCU today.